Have you ever wished for a travel companion who knows the stories behind the world's most fascinating sites? Someone who could reveal the hidden tales for every monument and landmark you visit? Well, imagine having just that right in your pocket. Today, I'm going to share 4 ways ChatGPT now offers personalized tours and curated adventures. But first, hello and welcome. I'm Michael, your guide at AI Innovator Hub, where we explore the use of generative AI today to boost your impact and stay ahead of the curve. Whether you're just starting out or already deeply entrenched and looking for more, we've got you covered. So let's dive deeper and see how ChatGPT is transforming the way we travel. So I was in Berlin, Germany to speak at a conference. It was my first time in this historic city. I didn't know anyone. I knew a few German words and I had a guidebook I'd purchased but barely skimmed. But I was so excited to explore the city's layered past. I wanted to learn more about what it was like during World War II and the Battle for Berlin. You know, this is the birthplace of the Cold War, and I've seen so many movies about Checkpoint Charlie. And of course, there's the history about the rise and fall of the Berlin Wall, and so much more. Well, by the end of my trip, and with the help of ChatGPT, I discovered 4 ways to enrich my solo exploration that I'm convinced is going to lead to even more amazing adventures in the future, both locally and abroad. First up, I call it voice-activated histories. Well, I was staying in the heart of Berlin, and on my first morning, I set out to walk the 15 or so minutes to the conference venue. When I passed this huge courtyard, I paused to check out the architecture, and I remember the concierge at my hotel mentioning that this was the site of the famous book burning. Curious, I pulled out my phone to snap a picture and thought, I wonder. I opened my ChatGPT app, pushed a button, and said, hey, I'm in Berlin, standing in front of this square where people said they used to burn books. And out came this voice.
It looks like you're at Bibelplatz in Berlin. This square is historically significant because it was the site of the infamous book burning.
There's more here that you can see, but I also continued the conversation. I said, tell me more about this. I'm trying to understand what it was like to be there that night from the perspective of an everyday citizen, to which it transported me to that point in history. You might not feel like it, but consider yourself now armed with your own personal storyteller, adapting its narratives to match your own personal interests, and bringing history to life tailored just for you. Up next, I call this visual histories. Later that day, as I wandered past another old building that had attracted a small crowd, curious, I approached and I found this metal gate barring entry, although it permitted a pretty clear view of the inside. Beyond this gate lay a clear, minimalistic chamber, dimly lit except for this focused light that shone like a spotlight right on this solemn bronze statue. Looking around the entrance, I saw a bunch of plaques in various languages that offered snippets of history. But once I located the one in English, I discovered this quiet nook was actually a sanctuary dedicated to the forgotten victims of war and tyranny. Inspired by my earlier success with ChatGPT, I snapped a photo of this plaque and I asked, hey, what can you tell me about this place? This time, with my headphones in, as I let ChatGPT guide me, here's what I got.
The image shows a plaque for the Neue Wache, New Guardhouse, in Berlin, which is the central memorial of the Federal Republic of Germany for the victims of war and tyranny. Here's a brief history.
Okay, not only can we type or speak just to give vague information about our location, but we can also take snapshots of signs, memorials, historical markers to see these places really come to life. But that's not all, because a few days later, I was off to check out some of the city's most renowned museums. And that's where smart itineraries come in. I had my morning plan to explore this place called Museum Island, which is a collection of museums boasting the largest museum ensemble in the world. I started at the New Museum, known for its treasures from ancient civilizations like Egypt. Trying to optimize my time and being mindful of my afternoon walking tour I had scheduled, I typed into ChatGPT, hey, I'm about to explore this museum. Can you give me a plan to see the top exhibits within an hour? It came up with the museum's top 4 attractions. AI now takes the reins of our logistics, curating our sightseeing schedule to fit your timeline and your interests, building an adventure that feels both personal and well-paced. Later, I found myself in another museum checking out paintings. So I usually snap pictures of the ones I like, and this one from 1822 is 200 years old. On this trip, I didn't purchase the audio tour from the museum, which brings us to number 4, artistic insights. In addition to taking pictures of paintings, I also took a shot of this plaque right next to it. I uploaded the picture into ChatGPT and I asked, "What can you tell me about this painting?" It came back with a great summary.
The plaque in your photo indicates that the painting is titled Parade auf dem Opernplatz by Franz Kruger. It was created in 1822 and acquired by the museum in 1928.
What I learned here is that this is Opernplatz, which is the same thing as Babeplatz today. That's the same square we talked about at the beginning of this video. And this is an example of AI connecting over 200 years of history just for me. But that's not all. I then said, "Hey, tell me a cool story about this," to which ChatGPT came up with a cool story about when the artist went before the king of Prussia to show him his work. You see, the king was pointing to different people in the painting and started asking questions, and to his surprise, the artist could actually name each person in the painting and actually add some details about each person. The king was apparently so impressed with this guy's attention to detail that he became a royal favorite and got tons more work. Super impressive, but I must have uttered something under my breath like, "Hey, this stuff can't be true," because seemingly out of nowhere, my phone starts talking to me again and says, "You're right. Historical accounts can vary, but what remains undisputed is this guy's attention to detail." So with a little bit of planning, I'm sure you can get a lot more out of this than I did on my first try. But even if you don't, just giving AI a little bit of context about what themes you're most interested in, whether it's romance, historical wars, leadership, everyday life, it's going to tailor the stories and facts to exactly what you're after. And there you have it, folks, my whirlwind adventure through Berlin, armed with just my curiosity and ChatGPT in my pocket. From unraveling the histories of historical sites to personal tours of museum treasures, we've only just scratched the surface of what's possible when technology meets travel. I hope you've enjoyed this journey as much as I have and are maybe even a little bit inspired to take AI on your next trip. Who knows what stories await around the next corner? Thanks for joining me. Until next time, keep exploring and stay innovative.